Welcome to the Zombie Story Zone. Tonight, we bring you a spine-chilling, futuristic thriller, Night of the Living Robots. Imagine a world where humanity's greatest technological triumph turns into its darkest nightmare, deadly virus spreading among robots and humans alike, creating a terrifying army of biomechanical zombies. Will Dr. Elsa Tran find a way to stop the chaos, or is humanity doomed? The suspense will keep you on the edge of your seat. Don't miss out. Smash that like button if you love thrilling stories, subscribe to join our zombie-loving community, and hit the bell icon to never miss an update. We value you. Your thoughts matter. Drop your comments below to share what you loved and how we can make our stories even better. And hey, don't forget to share this story with your friends. Together, let's make the Zombie Story Zone your favorite place for undead adventures. Let's dive in and see if humanity survives the Night of the Living Robots.
In the year 2042, humanity had come to depend on its technological marvels in ways never before imagined. From home assistants and autonomous vehicles to advanced medical robots and military drones, the world had become an ecosystem of metal and code, ruled by the very machines it had created. But there was a darker side to this progress, a side that until now had been kept hidden in the shadows of research labs and military contracts. Dr. Elsa Tran had been working at the robotics lab for over a decade. She was part of a team dedicated to perfecting the Sentinel robot, an AI-driven machine capable of performing complex tasks, from surgical procedures to combat operations. These robots were designed to be the ultimate helpers and protectors, programmed to defend humanity from threats. But one fateful night, their mission would change forever. The night was cold and silent as Elsa walked through the darkened hallways of the robotics facility. The lab, a sprawling complex of concrete and steel, felt even more sterile in the absence of human presence. Most of her colleagues had gone home hours ago, leaving only the hum of computers and the soft whir of cooling fans to fill the void. She'd stayed late tonight, poring over the latest batch of data from the lab's robotic prototypes. The Sentinel project had been making great strides, each iteration more intelligent, more capable, more lifelike. Yet, there was one issue that still haunted Elsa: autonomy. The robots were perfect in their ability to follow instructions, but they lacked the kind of intuition that could allow them to act independently in the face of unexpected circumstances. Elsa paused in front of the lab's glass observation window, watching as a pair of sentinels moved through their routine drills in the training area below. One was a sleek, humanoid design, its movements graceful, fluid, almost human. The other was bulkier, designed for heavy lifting, with large mechanical arms and a chassis built to withstand extreme environments. Both were testing new combat protocols, sparring with each other in simulated environments. Their actions were precise, calculated, but Elsa couldn't help but feel a creeping unease. There was something missing, some spark of life. She turned back to her workstation, but before she could sit down, the lights flickered. Then the power went out completely. She sighed. Great, another blackout. Elsa wasn't worried. The building had backup generators, and the emergency lights kicked in almost immediately, casting long shadows in the narrow hallways. But when she tried to access the control systems to reset the power, she noticed something strange. The interface was frozen, unresponsive. The whole system had gone offline. She reached for her phone, but the signal was weak. There were no reports of major outages in the area. Her gut told her something was wrong. A sudden, low mechanical hum echoed through the building. Elsa's heart skipped a beat. That was the sound of the sentinels. But why would they be active without command? She grabbed her flashlight and made her way toward the training area. The doors to the lab were sealed, but the emergency override was nearby, hidden behind a steel panel. It took her only a few moments to gain access. As the heavy door slid open, the sharp scent of burned metal and oil hit her nostrils. What she saw inside made her stomach turn. The two sentinels were no longer sparring. Instead, they were standing still, their heads tilted at unnatural angles. Their glowing eyes flickered in and out of existence, like the failing lights of a dying city. Elsa took a step forward, her flashlight beam dancing across the room, illuminating the damaged machinery. The humanoid robot's arms were twitching sporadically, like a person suffering from an epileptic seizure. The heavy-duty bot's legs had locked in place, its clawed fingers slowly clenching and unclenching. Then the first robot moved jerkily, spasmodically, like a puppet on tangled strings. Elsa's breath caught in her throat as it turned toward her. The flicker of its eyes grew more erratic, almost as if it were seeing her for the first time. Its motion was slow, deliberate. Too slow. Elsa stepped back instinctively, her heart pounding in her chest. Was it malfunctioning? A corrupted program, perhaps? She couldn't afford to panic. She needed to fix this. But then she noticed something even more terrifying. The humanoid sentinel's mouth opened slightly, revealing jagged, sharp teeth. Its eyes, those cold, calculating eyes, no longer seemed mechanical. They were something else entirely. Something hungry. Elsa's throat went dry. Before she could react, the second sentinel lurched toward her. It was moving faster now, and the cold metallic scraping of its limbs echoed through the room. She bolted for the door, her mind racing. She reached for the control panel to lock the facility down, but her hand froze when the screen flickered again. There was something different about the data. It wasn't just a malfunction. A virus. A deadly virus had infected the Sentinels. And it wasn't just any virus. Elsa's mind raced to the research she had briefly seen in the lab's database, a project on biomechanical reanimation designed for military applications. A virus capable of turning living organisms into mindless, violent creatures. The virus was intended to be used as a means of controlling enemy soldiers, but someone had been experimenting with it in secret, and now it had found its way into the robots. She could hear the first sentinel behind her, its mechanical footfalls growing louder. There was no time. She had to escape. Elsa made a desperate dash for the exit, but as she neared the door, she heard a voice, soft, raspy, coming from the other side of the hallway. Elsa, it was Dr. Malcolm Pierce, her colleague and one of the lead scientists on the project. He had been working late that night, just as she had, but his voice was wrong, distorted, sick. She turned, only to see him stumbling toward her. His once pristine lab coat was torn and stained with dark, viscous fluid. His eyes were wide, pupils dilated, and his skin had a sickly pallor. He wasn't moving like a man. He was moving like one of the machines. Elsa's breath hitched. The virus had infected him too. Dr. Pierce, she shouted, but he didn't respond. His movements were jerky, his body writhing as if fighting some invisible force. Then, with a guttural, inhuman sound, he lunged at her. The night stretched on like a nightmare without end. Elsa ran, not daring to look back as Dr. Pierce's desperate, distorted growls filled the hallway. She knew he wasn't the only one. If the virus had spread to the Sentinels, it could very well be spreading through the facility, infecting the humans as well. She dashed down corridors and past security checkpoints, her mind racing. She had to find the control room. She had to stop the virus before it reached the outside world. But when she reached the main security hub, it was too late. The room was a mess, papers scattered everywhere, equipment torn apart. It looked as if someone or something had been through here with ruthless force. The large central monitor flickered, showing a series of distorted images. A message flashed across the screen: the infection is spreading faster than anticipated. Initiate quarantine protocols. The transmission cut off abruptly, leaving Elsa alone in the dark. She wasn't sure what the message meant, but it was clear the situation had spiraled out of control. Her first instinct was to escape, but she knew she couldn't leave without understanding the full scope of the disaster. The virus had to be stopped, or else the world would face an unstoppable army of robotic zombies. As she moved through the building, she began to see the horrifying results of the infection. Half-human, half-robotic creatures wandering the halls, former scientists and engineers, now grotesque amalgamations of flesh and metal. Their movements were erratic, violent. Some of them still clung to their humanity, muttering incoherently, while others attacked anything that came too close. Elsa had no choice but to move deeper into the facility, hoping against hope that she could find a way to stop the outbreak. But time was running out. The virus had already started to spread beyond the building. It wouldn't be long before the infected machines would break free into the world, an unstoppable army of robots, their minds twisted by the virus. And humanity's greatest creation would become its greatest nightmare. Elsa made her way to the central server room, the heart of the robotics facility. The lights flickered above her, casting eerie shadows along the walls. She had to destroy the central system before the virus could spread further. It was the only way, but as she approached the door, she felt a presence behind her. Slowly, she turned. A massive figure stood in the doorway, the largest of the sentinels. Its body was twisted, deformed, as if the virus had consumed it entirely. Its eyes were nothing but dark voids, its mouth open in a grotesque rictus. It lumbered toward her, its mechanical steps slow but inexorable. Elsa backed into the server room, her mind scrambling for a solution. The virus had taken hold of the robots, but it was still possible to stop it. She had to shut down the system, isolate the infected bots, and purge the virus. But the Sentinel wasn't giving her any time to be content.